Good morning, class. This is Ishita ma'am, again back with your teaching learning video for class 9 English literature. So, as I told you in my last video, that today I'll be starting with part 2 of the second chapter of your Beehive book. So, here I am with part 2, the Shehnai of Bismillah Khan, of your second chapter, the Sound of Music from the Beehive book. So before I get into the reading and detailed explanation of the chapter, I'll request everyone to please see the video for the introduction of the chapter. The last video which I have posted, please see to the detailing of it because those will be something that will be helpful for you in understanding the chapter well. Okay, so who have not gone through the chapter yet or who have not gone through the video yet, please do have a look on them and then see to this video and understand the detailing of its reading and explanation. I've also told the students to read the chapter all by themselves before understanding the explanation of it. So if you have not done it, please do it. So here I am starting your part 2, the Shehnai of Bismillah Khan. So here are some of the pictures of the instruments player who are quite very common or rather very popular and eminent in their field of playing this Hindustani classical instrument. In the video, I have already shown all this. So I'll not be wasting time but rather moving on to the chapter. Think of the Shehnai and the first thing you'll probably imagine in a wedding or a similar occasion or function. The next would probably be Ustad Bismillah Khan, the Shehnai maestro, playing his instrument. So of course, Shehnai is something that is of course part of any wedding ceremony or any such auspicious occasion or function. Even not only in the earlier times, but even today when you go to the marriage ceremonies, you find the Naubat or you find Shehnai to be played there, or at times the audio track of Shehnai is played in the marriage ceremonies. And there, an indispensable name that comes with the Shehnai is, of course, of Ustad Bismillah Khan. So let's just start. Emperor Aurangzeb banned the playing of a musical instrument called pungi in the royal residence, for it had a shrill, unpleasant sound. Pungi became the generic name for reeded noisemakers. Few had thought that it would be one day be revived. So what happened? That Emperor Aurangzeb banned the playing of a musical instrument called pungi. Why? Because it had a shrill and unpleasant sound. And pungi became the generic name for reeded noisemakers. That anybody playing pungi is of course one of those noisemakers. So it was completely banned from Aurangzeb's court. In the last video which I have posted, there I have given you some pictures for you to have an idea and understand it well. Now a barber of a family of professional musicians who had access to the royal place decided to improve the tonal quality of the pungi. So a barber who was part of a family of professional musicians and had access to the royal palace, he decided to improve the tonal quality of the pungi. Okay, so what did he do? He chose a pipe with a natural hollow stem that was longer and broader than the pungi and made 7 holes on the body of the pipe. Then he played on it, closing and opening some of these holes. Okay, so what happened? He chose a pipe with a natural hollow stem that was longer and broader than the pungi. Okay, and then he made 7 holes on the body. So it was longer and broader in size than the pungi, and he took there a pipe with a natural hollow. You know, a pipe kind of a thing which has got a hollow there. So he took that kind of a hollow stem and made 7 holes on the body of it. And then he played on it, closing and opening some of these holes. And soft and melodious sounds were produced. So the barber played that in the royal court, and he closed some of the holes and opened some of the holes, and a new sound came out of that instrument. He played the instrument before royalty and everyone was impressed. So not a shrill sound but a melodious soft music came out of that very new instrument and everybody was impressed out of it. The instrument, so different from the pungi, had to be given a new name. So, a new name must be given to that instrument because it was not at all like pungi, but it was completely different. So, what could be the new name? So, as the story goes, since it was first played in the Shah's chambers and was played by a nai, a barber, the instrument was named the Shehnai. So, as it was played first in Shah's chamber or court, Shah is king, and was played by a nai, that is the barber, or it was brought out and invented by the nai also. So, in the Shah's chamber, so Shah, and played by the nai, the barber, so the instrument was named as Shah plus nai, Shehnai. And this is how the name came up. And this answer is very important for your SAQ or short answer type question from the chapter. That how did the name Shehnai originate? Okay, so this will be your answer. The sound of the Shehnai began to be considered auspicious, and for the reason it is still played in the temples and is an indispensable component of any North Indian wedding. So, the sound of Shehnai began to be considered auspicious. Yes, you know what auspicious? Something that is regarded to be bringing up good fortune for us, something which is lucky. So, Shehnai began to be considered very auspicious, and for this reason it is played in temples and is an indispensable component of any North Indian wedding. That's something which is unseparated, something of which we cannot think of a work that can be completed. That a North Indian wedding without Shehnai is something that is very incomplete. So, even in temples and even in North Indian wedding, and I was saying that not only North Indian wedding, but weddings all around there in different parts of India, and even if we consider in the Bengali culture as well, Shehnai has become a part and parcel of these wedding ceremonies. Yes, of course, if we do not get the Shehnai players, we often go along playing audio tracks, and of course, I guess you'll all agree with me that it is part of the wedding ceremony, an indispensable part of the wedding ceremony. In the past, the Shehnai was part of the Naubat or traditional ensemble of 9 instruments found at royal courts. Okay. Now, with the pronunciation of this very word, please don't bring up pronunciations like ensemble or something like that. It should all be pronounced as ensemble. Things here instruments considered as a group, traditional ensemble of 9 instruments found at royal courts. From where this very word Naubat came out, that 9 traditional instruments were supposed to be played there in the royal court. So there, Shehnai was part of those 9 instruments. Till recently, it was used only in temples and weddings. So earlier, Shehnai was a part of the Naubat, that it was not played separately somewhere or at any point of time. But now, recent times, we do get in temples and weddings Shehnai to be played there. The credit for bringing this instrument onto the classical stage goes to Ustad Bismillah Khan, about whom we are going to know today. So, the credit for bringing the instrument onto the classical stage. So, from the Naubat, from the royal court to the stage, to the classical stage, this credit completely goes to Ustad Bismillah Khan. With this, I'll also refer to Evelyn Glennie's chapter. There, if you remember, I told that the whole credit of bringing up xylophone or to bring up percussion as a part of solo performance lies there on Evelyn Glennie. Okay, the complete credit goes to her. And here also when we talk about Ustad Bismillah Khan and Shehnai, so it was he who brought Shehnai to the forefront. Shehnai as an individual creativity, an individual piece of musical art lies completely on Ustad Bismillah Khan. Now, from here, para 3 starts Ustad Bismillah Khan's biography rather. As a 5-year-old, Bismillah Khan played gilli danda near a pond in the ancient estate of Dumrao in Bihar. Yesterday, in the map, I showed you where exactly Dumrao is located. So, here, Bismillah Khan used to play gilli danda. You know what gilli danda is? So, near a pond area in the ancient estate of Dumrao in Bihar. And what does the author emphasizes here? That Bismillah Khan was not coming up from a very rich or in a very high society or something like that. He was just a mere boy like any one of the common people. He would regularly go to the nearby Biharji temple to sing the Bhojpuri Chaita, at the end of which he would earn a big laddu weighing 1.25 kg. So what happened? That there he would, from a very young age, he would go to the nearby Biharji temple and used to sing there Bhojpuri Chaita, the kind of the poetic songs or recital kind of song that is there in the Bhojpuri language, and at the end of which used to sing the songs or used to narrate or chant the song so well that he would earn a big laddu weighing 1.25 kg, a prize given by the local Maharaja. So the local Maharaja used to hand over one laddu that used to weigh 1.25 kg and hand it over to the young boy or the little boy Bismillah Khan. This happened 80 years ago, and the little boy has travelled far to earn the highest civilian award of India, or in India, the Bharat Ratna. So what happened? This boy taking out or singing Bhojpuri Chaita and getting a laddu of 1.25 kg is something which is 80 years ago, or that took place 80 years ago. But that very boy then travelled so far a journey that he got the highest civilian award in India, that is the Bharat Ratna. The Bharat Ratna, that is the gem of India, the highest civilian award that any of the Indian would aspire to get. Born on 21st of March 1916, Bismillah belongs to a well-known family of musicians from Bihar. His grandfather, Rasul Baks Khan, was the Shehnai Nawaz of the Bhojpur King's Court. His father, Paigambar Baks, and other paternal ancestors were also great Shehnai players. So Bismillah Khan was born to a family where Shehnai, of course, was played by the different family members, and they were part of the royal court as well. So, he was born on 21st of March 1916, and Bismillah belongs to a well-known family of musicians from Bihar. I told you the family originated from Bihar, and the family members were a good of musicians there. His grandfather Rasul Baks Khan was the Shehnai Nawaz of the Bhojpur King's Court. So the grandfather Rasul Baks Khan was a part of the Shehnai Nawaz, or he was the Shehnai Nawaz of the Bhojpur King's Court. That his grandfather had the access to the Bhojpur court or the royal court. His father Paigambar Baks and other paternal ancestors were also great Shehnai players. You know paternal, your father's side. So the father Paigambar Baks and other paternal ancestors, other family members were also great Shehnai players. The young boy took to music early in life. At the age of 3, when his mother took him to his maternal uncle's house in Benares, now Varanasi, Bismillah was fascinated watching his uncles practice the Shehnai. So what happened? That not only the paternal family, but his maternal one also. So they were all engaged there with this Shehnai playing. At the age of 3, when his mother took him to the maternal uncle's house in Benares, now Varanasi, Bismillah was fascinated watching his uncles practice the Shehnai. So when he was just 3 years old, he was quite fascinated by listening to the uncle and practice the Shehnai in that very way. Soon Bismillah started accompanying his uncle Ali Bucks to the Vishnu temple of Benares, where Bucks was employed to play the Shehnai. So in the Vishnu temple of Benares, with his uncle Ali Bucks, Bismillah used to accompany his uncle there, and he was a part of Shehnai playing, as his uncle was employed to play the Shehnai there in the Vishnu temple of Benares. Now with this class, I'm going to bring into notice one thing. In the last video, if you remember, I told you that Bismillah Khan was a symbol of religious harmony, that he was the bridge between the Hindu and the Muslim religion. And I told you that it's music and education that would help you to eradicate any sort of binary which is there in the society. So here again is an example of it. You see, not only Bismillah Khan, rather his uncle Ali Bucks, he or his family were part of the Vishnu temple of Benares. So with the name Ali Bucks, I guess it's clear that they belong to the Muslim community, and he was playing Shehnai there in the Vishnu temple. But now we find people with those narrow religious minds who do create binaries between the Hindus and the Muslims, that Hindus are not going to enter to the Muslim masjids, or the Muslims not entering there in the Hindu festivals. But these were something which is completely should be, or which should completely be out of this society. At that very time when I'm talking about Bismillah Khan, at the time period before independence also, you see there, Ali Bucks playing there in the Vishnu temple. So, a man who is coming from the Muslim background is playing there the Shehnai in the Hindu temple. So, this is music that removes or eradicates all the divisions or the cultural narrowness or the religious narrowness among people. Ali Bucks would play the Shehnai, and Bismillah would sit captivated for hours on end. That his uncle will be playing that, and Bismillah would be sitting there captivated for hours on end. Captivated is completely attracted to one thing. That the attention was completely attracted there. Bismillah was mesmerized by listening to the Shehnai by his uncle. Slowly, he started getting lessons in playing the instrument and would sit practicing throughout the day. For years to come, the temple of Balaji and Mangalamaya and the banks of the Ganga became the young apprentice's favorite haunts where he could practice in solitude. So, I told you that the banks of Ganga, they were the one where this young apprentice or this young promising Shehnai player used to part his time or practice in solitude, practice Shehnai in solitude. So he started learning and getting lessons in playing the instrument, and he would sit practicing throughout the day. And for years to come to this Balaji and Mangalamaya at the temples and at the banks of the Ganga, this young boy or this promising Shehnai player, it was his favorite place where he would pass his time in solitude and practice this playing of Shehnai. The flowing waters of the Ganga inspired him to improvise and invent ragas that were earlier considered to be beyond the range of the Shehnai. Now with this, I would bring you something interesting. Many of my students, you all can play many of the musical instruments, right? Whether I talk about a keyboard, whether I talk about harmonium, whether I talk about piano, whether I talk about guitar, tabla, we do have our fingertips, our hand in control while playing it, right? You exactly know that if I press this kind of this fingertip here, then this sound would come, okay? But when I talk about this airy instrument or this breathy instrument, here my fingers would work, okay, with a proper equation with the air that I am throwing out, right? The breathing should be well calculated with the fingertips, the timing of the fingertips. So it's quite very difficult. This much you can understand. But Bismillah Khan was so much impressed or inspired by the flowing waters of the Ganga, the flow of the river waters, the Ganges or the Ganga, and the flow of the waves there. He was so inspired that he improvised and invent ragas and were earlier considered to be beyond the range of the Shehnai. Earlier, people used to play Shehnai, but nobody thought of considering it and inventing it with rags or raginis there. But Bismillah Khan improvised the way and he started inventing new ragas and played it through the Shehnai, not through any of the other instrument, but with that breathy instrument. And there, this range of Shehnai could not be thought. It was considered to be beyond the range of the Shehnai, that it can only be played, ragas cannot be played here. But Bismillah Khan made this impossible thing quite possible. So you can understand that how well acquainted or how well performed and equipped was this man and how musically sound was he. At the age of 14, Bismillah accompanied his uncle to the Allahabad Music Conference. At the end of his recital, Ustad Fayaz Khan patted the young boy's back and said, "Work hard and you shall make it." With the opening of the All India Radio in Lucknow in 1938 came Bismillah's big break. He soon became an often heard Shehnai player on radio. So what happened? Just at the age of 14, he accompanied his uncle to the Allahabad Musical Conference. Okay? And there, at the end of this recital, there was Ustad Fayaz Khan, who patted on his back and said that if you work hard, you shall make it to the top. And then it was a no-break future for Bismillah Khan. The first break he got with the opening of the air, that is the All India Radio in Lucknow in 1938. And with this came up Bismillah's big break. He soon became an often heard Shehnai player on radio. So people started knowing Bismillah Khan. When this All India Radio started, he used to play the Shehnai and people quite often listened to this man's Shehnai playing on this radio. Okay, so here I would be ending up with the explanation of the chapter, and in my next video I'll complete the chapter. So I guess you don't have any problem understanding the chapter, and even if you have, please do write it to me in the comment section so that I can help you out. And I have also told you to find out the new words and their meanings from the dictionary. Okay, so stay well and have a nice day.